Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm your Chestnut Fairy and I'm very happy that you're here with me today. It's been a long time since I last posted. However, I was quite busy with a big project. I can tell you about it right now because I need to get a very specific feedback before I can post anything about it. So it will be a little bit more of a secret until I tell you. However, right now I am at my semester break, which means I have a lot of free time, which is very good because I try to post more videos and also be a bit more creative, which is very important because there will be coming a few cosplay videos soon because the Dokumi is coming up. If you know the Dokumi is one of the biggest anime and manga conventions in Germany, and this convention goes 3 days. So I need to do 3 cosplays, and also I always do them myself, and I am a last minute cosplayer, so it will be a bit stressful, and I try to reduce the stress and start make a few things before the convention is set. Do you notice cosplayers that always do their things on last minute, which means at the night before the convention I am this cosplayer and I don't have the capacity or the energy to stay up until 3 AM 3 days in a row. Also, I don't have anything else to do, so why not? Anyways, this video is more of a crafting video or sewing vlog because one of my friends has his birthday. He is just an amazing guy and he also loves frogs, which is very important because one of his favorite childhood books is called Frog and Toad. If you know this book, especially the Cottagecore people know it, it's about a frog and a toad that are lovers and best friends and they do stuff together, and it's a very cute cottagecore vibe and it's very amazing. And I thought this boy needs a plushie, a frog plushie. So I tried to sew a frog plushie and you will see the progress and then you will see me at the end of the video again. So to begin with, I made 2 designs of this frog plushie, and I have to admit I'm not the best at drawing frogs. Look at this horrifying face. I then decided to make a frog plushie that has the head and the body connected and not sewn together, so it would be easier and a bit time savior, so I could create more outfits and follow more my ideas, because Mr. Frog also didn't seem to have a neck in the children books. Anyways, the most important things you need to draw when you want to follow this very bad tutorial or just thought I am inspired and maybe I can create something better, then you need to draw a very big oval shaped body. This needs to be bigger than everything else because this will be the belly part and also his head, so you need to be sure that his arms will be a little bit shorter and also his legs will be a little bit shorter. In my original sewing pattern I made the legs and the arms too long, but I used those arms and legs as kind of a stuffing and also ignore the painting in the background. I kind of got distracted at some point. I kind of always sketch next to my working things, so when you see my notes you will always find some kind of weird things. Anyways, so I started to cut out the very long legs and arms and also made cute little feet and a heart that should be inside his body, but I later forgot to put it in there. As you see, the pattern is finished and now it's time to look at the right fabric for this plushie. As you see, I have a lot of old fabric and kind of a lot of scrap pieces. I thought this would be a great color match, so I took it, and also this green one. I wasn't sure, so I later asked on my Instagram and a few friends which would be better for Mr. Frog. And I then decided I also needed to look for some outfit things, and I thought this one would be great for trousers, and these were all the ones I then collected as fabric samples. I later decided on the darker greener one, as you will see in the next part. Also, don't judge me for my very messy fabric stash. I know I kinda tied it up a little bit after this video, but It's been a few projects I sewed, so there will always be a little bit of scraps and I don't want to throw them away, so I try to reuse them. But my messy fabric stasher shouldn't be the focus on this video. The focus should be on this very cute little frog, which is in the making process. The first thing I did was to pin down the sewing pattern and then cut out the fabric with a little bit of sewing allowance, not very much because I wasn't sure how big I wanted this frog to be, because I wasn't quite sure if it was large enough or not, or if I want to make it a little bit smaller or not, because it is difficult to make plushies. I don't do them very often. I once made a snuggle puff, as I called him, for my little sister, which is a pink bunny. I don't know why I called him like that. Anyways, he was very cute. However, it was a little bit easier to sew him because he had a few more complicated patterns and he was bigger. And when you sew bigger things, it is easier to don't make mistakes. And this was a very small little frog that was a little bit more delicate. But I still managed to cut out everything I needed, and as you see, Mr. Frog grew in his green colors. As you see, I then decided to make the feet and hands a little bit bigger because I realized that it will look probably a little bit stupid if he has very long and giant arms and then very tiny hands. So I made them bigger and just went with the bigger the better. And it was okay for this frog, I think. After a while, I finally assembled all of the patterns and pieces for this frog, and it was time to sew. As you see, he kinda got together already, but you need to complete the job. So I started to sew down every little arm and leg, and then realized that they are way too long, and I wasn't sure if I should cut them or just go with the flow and see how it will look. So while you watch me sewing, I wanted to honor my friend a little bit more and talk about him because he's a very great person and he's always there for me when I have a problem. So I just wanted to thank him for that, and also wanted to talk about how we met because it's a little bit of a funny story because I kinda gave him a nickname afterwards. So it was not my very first meeting with him because I saw him at the Dokumi, but we never talked that much. But afterwards, at a birthday party, it all happened. It was a birthday of one of my friends and I kinda met my whole new friend circle there, and he was there and I kinda got to meet him, and then I laughed so hard because he called me a hamster that I cried for 10 minutes and it was a very funny day. And then we decided to play Mario Kart and I didn't understand anything because I'm a grandma inside. And then I said to him, "Maxi, you're a magical man with magical words, but I don't understand a thing," and it kinda stuck with our. Since then I became a friend of him and I really like him. As I said, he is a very, very generous boy and he also has the same music taste as I, Cave Town, best musician ever. And he has very cute dogs. I could also make him a dog plushie. I realized that way too late. Anyways, his dogs are very cute. They are kind of cute. One of them ate a rat. Anyways, that is not a part of the story and I kind of forgot to tell you what I'm doing in the sewing tutorial. So back to sewing, and just as I said, he's a great friend and I think this is the end of the story and how I met him. As you see, I used old fabric pieces that were way too small to use them for anything anymore as a stuffing, and then later changed to wool because it wasn't enough, and I also didn't want to cut any more fabric into tiny little pieces that couldn't be used. So I just filled in the arms and legs, and as you see in the background, I already made all 3 and then decided to make the last one. Afterwards, I sewed on the feet and hands by hand, and it was quite a process because it was very small and I didn't want that he will lose his arms or hands. And afterwards, after every leg and arm was finished and every hand was sewn on, I marked the places where the arms and legs should be, and I started sewing the whole thing together. I left space for the arms and legs, and I will later push them in and sew by hand the holes together so they won't fall out and Mr. Frog is safe and sound in my hands. As you see, you need to flip the fabric inside out so you don't see the sewing, but I think this is self-explanatory, so just do with the information what you want. As you see, I then started to add some filling, and even though it looks like a massive amount, it wasn't enough. I needed to add so much more, and I just started with a little bit and went on and on and on just to give him a little bit of volume, because I wanted the frog to be a little bit filled up so you can hug him a little bit more. Because in my experience, the best plushies are the ones that you can hug the most. I can speak out of experience. We like big, fat plushies. As you see, I then added his arms and kinda had to press them inside of his poor body. However, it worked out great, and then he had very cute little arms and also a little bit more filling and a little bit more structure. Then I started to sew them together, as I already told you. It was quite a process. I also fixed a few places where the sewing machine didn't catch what I wanted to sew, and he then became to look more like a frog, a very respectable and good frog. And with an hour of hand sewing, Mr. Frog was finally finished, and he also had a cute little but wrinkly booty, but I think it's okay. He will get clothes right now. The first thing I used was old fabric that I got from a recycled t-shirt, and I used to crop it, so I had a lot of fabric left, and I thought this might suit into this cottagecore swamp vibe that Mr. Frog kinda has. I think if he was a human, he would definitely live in a cabin, and also he would drink very good tea in very fine china teacups, and he would be a very wise man with very good and cool sweaters that he made or his lover made. I don't know. Anyways, I then made a small little hoodie out of them and just sewed them together. It was an easy job. I mean, it's a very small shirt. I just measured it around his body and then sewed, and with that, the easiest t-shirt I ever made was done. It was trouser time, and Mr. Frog has a pinafore styled trouser, and I thought that this was very easy to make. It wasn't. His booty was very thick and he didn't fit into these trousers I made, but I also made the mistake and traced it just around his body, and it wasn't the right measurement. I sketched a very wrong sketch onto this thing. Just ignore it for a moment and ignore everything I did wrong with this part. This piece of fabric is a little bit thicker, but I think it is good because Mr. Frog seems to have a garden and also goes on bike rides, and I think you need to have a bit more of a rusty pair of trousers to be a very active frog man. So it was time to make him a very good pair for his very, very small legs. And as you see, I just cut out the fabric and then started to sew everything together, and later realized that it was completely wrong. But I think this was off camera, so you won't see the many mistakes I made. This pair of trousers took some time, I think 3 hours or so, because they were quite complicated and I wish I looked at a pattern, but I thought my brain is good enough. How could this go wrong? Well, it went wrong a little bit, and I hope these pair of trousers will still stay on. At first I wanted to make a very easy pinafore and just sew one part and then the other. Then I realized that I sewed the upper part together, which is wrong because you want to have a backside. So I just cut it in half and just thought I will make trousers and then glue the upper part on. And this was kind of what I made. This was the first leg and this was the second leg. As you see, it kind of started to look like trousers. And then I added a waistband that I then started to glue together because I wanted it to hold. And I hate to turn the fabric out when I have those long strip of fabric, especially when it's small. This is such a pain to turn outside. It is so complicated, it takes so long. I didn't want to do it. So hot glue would be easier and I kind of did that. And then I added it to the trousers. It was an easy process. I was happy with that, and then later realized that his booty was too big, or his belly, and added an extra part on the outside, as you see here. I then fixed up everything, looked at the crotch so nothing would look weird, and then glued the last part of the trousers together and put them on Mr. Frog. As you see, my method worked. I later had to cut a little bit of the bottom part and then glue them inside because they are way too long, because I thought his legs were longer. I don't know why. However, it worked out and now he has very wide trousers and can stroll around in the nature. I glued on the upper part of the pinafore and also his little strands on the back of his trousers, and then added little buttons to give a little bit more detail. And he also got a bigger pocket on the front so he can put anything in it what he likes. I also created later a few accessories, so it will be kinda like a playful gig where he can put something in. After hours of sewing, gluing, painting and just having a mental breakdown, I finally finished Mr. Frog, and I hope Maxi would be happy to get this present. He also got a little Frog and Toad book where they ride on a bicycle, and this was Mr. Frog at the end. I just could take a quick video because then it was time to say goodbye to Mr. Frog. So, I see you have finished this video. You have seen the progress behind this little frog plushie, and I hope you got inspired to create something for your friends, or maybe sew this cottagecore frog for yourself, because everyone needs a plushie and everyone can get a little companionship with a plushie. Maxi, I hope you like this present. I am very sorry that I didn't give it to you earlier. But you still mean a lot to me, and so you got your frog present. So I wanted to give you a hint what the next video will be about, because it will be a cosplay video, and it will be a specific wig styling video with one of my favorite video game characters, more likely my favorite video game series, which is a very old Nintendo series. Maybe you know the series. It's about harvesting. If not, stay tuned for the next video, because it will be quite interesting, quite messy, and with a lot of green hair and a lot of glue and a lot of struggle. Until then, stay happy, stay healthy, and mostly magical. Your Chestnut Fairy. See you next time.